Hello everyone, I wish I had something better to share with you in this alert video. It's not something I normally do, but I feel absolutely compelled to get this message out there. For those of you who have followed me for many years or even recent months, you'll be aware that the build-up of this October has been a significant climax to many prophetic events unfolding, and they're emerging and unfolding quicker than ever before, simultaneously in the same time period. This is an alert because something very significant is going to be happening within the next 24 hours of this recording, and I'm going to tell you all about it right now. So we've seen the devastation of this surprise and unprecedented attack by Hamas on Israel, and now we're seeing hundreds of thousands of troops and all the military, tanks, vehicles and warplanes and everything else building up to basically wipe Hamas off the face of the earth, as the Israeli Prime Minister put it. We've also saw the American naval fleet coming in as a show of strength and support of Israel. But now Hamas is calling on all Muslims of the world to rise up in solidarity and in unification against this. This has me deeply, deeply concerned for one main reason and for many others. I'm going to fire it out to you right now, and you can watch the other videos I've been repeating for some time regarding it. Why now? Why this very moment? Well, October 13th is the day they want them to be all rising up in sacrifice and solidarity for their faith in support of Hamas. We've already seen many protests all around the world, and even here in the UK, down in London, with clashes of those for Israel, those for Palestine. But to call on the entire Muslim uprising across the world should have us deeply concerned. One, we've repeatedly called out the fact that it's fighting age, military age men as an overwhelming majority of migrants coming into our countries. We see the fact also, and I'm going to put a link in the description box below, do not fail to watch it. It came from Funky Prepper, who I've been watching recently, and he's alerting us all to the fact that something bad's coming as well. Not in sense of prophecy, but just in sense of what he's picking up on the airwaves and through people contacting him. Even these Ministry of Defence abandoned camps, or whatever you want to call them, where a lot of migrants, these male migrants, have been put up. There's one man, apparently, who took on the deal to have his staff removed in order for the government staff to come in from Serco and look after all the male migrants he's put up for a good sum of cash, keeping his business afloat like many others have been doing. And he's on record saying that he's been receiving pallets and he's not allowed to look inside the boxes of these pallets to what they are. But his paranoia got the better of him and he's looked into them. And apparently here in the UK, and this is one example of this Airbnb somewhere between London and Bristol, it's AK-47s and it's grenades. Now this almost seems like, what? No way, especially coming from our own military, putting these in place. Apparently the names of the migrant, the locker box, with all the stuff inside it. Why would that be the case if it's the case? The link is in the description box below. It's the man speaking over the camera. You won't see his face, but he gives a few minutes of telling you what's happening and why. Now this just comes to the point as well, as we know in this channel, why Friday? Why this day of all days is Hamas asking or calling for all Muslims to rise up in solidarity? Why? Well, Friday the 13th of October is the 50th anniversary of the prophecy of Akita, which has been accepted as worthy of belief by the Bishop of the diocese and by the Vatican itself. Cannot get any more concrete than that. We've been anticipating something building up just because of this significant anniversary of Akita. But straight away in my head, this coincides with the Great Synod at the Vatican right now, which is the Garabandal prophecy, isn't it? A lot will coincide with a Great Synod. Something so bad is going to be happening that the Muslims are going to rise up And I'm getting more and more concerned that the prophecy of one of the priests, it's not Father Oliveira, it's the other priest, I forget his name right now, basically spoke about how by the end of October, a religious leader would be killed and it would bring shock to the world. I know a few people have left comments on there. My point was it's something that's going to put fuel on the fire. And since that last video to now, we know there's plenty of prophecies of the Pope being martyred or fleeing Rome, depending on the situations. That's still very much prominent in what could happen. Because right now we're seeing hierarchy within the church and lay people and women for the first time at this synod. And you look at that image of the third secret of Fatima with that city half in ruins and the Pope being shot with bullets and arrows with soldiers, and you look at the laity and the hierarchy all dead. This fits multiple prophecies, including that image portrayed of Lucia's writings of the third secret of Fatima. I'm telling you people, something is not right for this weekend, this Friday especially, and you're best to stay away from the cities wherever you are. France and Italy and even England, we know, are major names when it comes to these massacres. These prophetic massacres of a Muslim uprising and invasion, and at the same time Russia would sweep further into Europe. We're passing by Ukraine here, we're going straight to France, we're going down to Italy. These are the prophecies. And many of the channels, these prepper channels, have got much larger audience than me because they've kept themselves more busier over the years than I have. But it's now the compelling point where I need to get this out while there's time. And I've invited through emails and messages Funky Prepper, Canadian Prepper, and a lot of the other channels in America regarding the prophecy channels. US Grace Force, I had an email or two shared months ago with Mark Mallet and Daniel O'Connor. I've had emails exchanged with Xavier Iral as well, who's keen to come on. They've all noted positive talks. We need to get the UK and the Americans together. We need to get these preppers are talking about the same stuff. They just don't have the backup sources to why it's happening and how it will come out. Whereas the other side of us, we do, because we're paying attention to serious Catholic prophecies. It's not just because the fact Friday's also the full moon. It's not nothing to do with astrology or astronomy. It's nothing to do with Mayan calendars or Nostradamus to a point even. These are solid prophecies that have been investigated for years, if not centuries, and many of them, after due diligence and prudence of the Church, have formally been accepted as worthy of belief. But now we're seeing them all emerging like never before. I'm just going to read a little excerpt which you can check out in any newspaper regarding this Hamas call. Hamas calls for a mobilization of the Arab and Islamic world on Friday in support of Gaza. Hamas today called for a mobilization of the Arab and Islamic world on Friday in support of Gaza, describing it as a day of heroism and sacrifice. And it goes further on when you look up and read these things. This is Thursday the 12th of October. We're on the countdown to the last day before the 50th anniversary of Akita. We're having signs in the celestial bodies, as it's mentioned in scriptures as well, where it's an eclipse, a blood moon, all different things have been mentioned. We know days of darkness are coming, like 3 days of darkness is the prophecy. But there's a new one I want to bring shortly, if we still have time before the weekend's out. Manuela Stark, I believe her name is. She actually met with the Pope back in 2004 after having an interview with Ratzinger the day before. She met John Paul II thereafter. And she's another one who's now spoke about the rise of Muslims in the European nations. Why are these fighting age men put up in Airbnbs and hotels being paid for, not looking for work, not looking for jobs, and they're just waiting about? And then you hear that apparently there's AK-47s being delivered to them. What are we to make of that? Something has to spark. And I did a video the past week with Hamas attacking Israel could be the spark for the Muslim side, but we need more fuel in the fire to fulfill the prophecies, to see the uprising in France and Italy and England and wherever else. And that fuel in the fire might be this recent prophecy of the priest who says there'll be a religious leader killed by the end of October. Now, if that's an Islamic leader, there's your fuel on the big, big fire. It will be an inferno if that's the case. And for the first time in a decade where I started looking into prepping and things like that, this is the first time ever where I am seriously ready to bug out. I've double checked the food rations that I can take. I've double checked the bug out bag. Everything is waiting just in case. Because I'm right in the middle of England, surrounded by a potential rise, an uprising, just as Hamas has called out. And we need to be ready to bug out and get away. So that's how serious I'm taking this. Hopefully, and I hope and pray, nothing happens, of course, because we prepare for the worst and we hope for the best. But I can't shake this off anymore. I really can't. And it's all I'm hearing on WhatsApp, on Messenger, on messages and emails. Normal people, average men and women, are seeing it. And many of us in my circles are people of faith who know exactly why it's happening, are seeing it playing out more or less as we expected. But we are surprised to see how many things are fitting at once right now. But not so surprised it's happening the day before the 50th anniversary of Akita, where she warned us not only of the infiltration with the church, we'll see cardinals against cardinals, bishops against bishops. We were also told and warned that if we did not change, a great chastisement would befall us. Fire would fall from the sky, wiping out a large part of humanity. The living would envy the dead. It could come through, a chastisement could also come through the human race itself. We've arrived after the 4 popes left of this era, prophesied at Garbandal, done. We've arrived at the time of the prophesied 2 popes, Benedict and Francis, done. Francis is still one of those popes, and we're at the end of the list of Malachi's list of popes, done. When Francis was elected, and I've done this in a video before, if you want to go back with the full moon and signs in the skies, Benedict XVI announced his retirement, a lightning strike the Vatican that very evening. 3 days later, I believe, it was 3 days later, meteor lands in Russia. Then, in the commencing weeks during conclave, the other meteor lands in Argentina, only for then the Pope to rise in the balcony, Habemus Papam, we have a Pope from Argentina. Francis is the one that's been doing further consecrations to the Immaculate Heart for his papacy, as well as for the world, and then after the Russian invasion, he done one where he specifically named Russia and Kiev. Malachi Martin said back in the 90s that the third secret did contain focus on Kiev and Russia. We're seeing it all at the same time. You cannot make this up. Multiple sources coming from great mystics and saints and apparitions, mainly going to children from different periods in the past century or two, different countries, different languages, well before the internet and the time of information, and they're all been saying the same thing, and it's all been collated in the Vatican archives all along. Tomorrow is a nail-biting day, Friday the 13th, the 50th anniversary of Akita. We're having a call for Muslim uprising across the world. And why has Putin been waiting so long in a defensive position now? Because he's going to wait to see Europe getting wrecked. We're going to see something so bad in Europe that it'll be easier for Russia to sweep over. And many reports are these migrants have been coming over in their hundreds of thousands every year because Russia's been doing it. It will destabilise Europe. So stay out the cities this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Get ready in case you need to bug out. Have a bit of food and stuff ready. Get your camping gears ready. Have your fuel fill in your vehicles and just keep an eye and be alert to a lot of things. And if something in your gut tells you to take a drive away just for the day, keeping an eye on news and radio, just be ready in case. And this is not fear mongering, it's alerting you to hopefully save yourselves what might be happening, because you cannot make up the significance of these times and the clear evidence of many events unfolding at exactly the same period. I want to get this out there quickly. I'm going to end it with there. I'll have something more put together where I can present more, but I have to get this out quickly before I go to work, and I wanted to make it an alert message so you all know where we're at. So please subscribe. Do me the favour, I can see thousands of unique viewers coming to the channel watching the videos but they don't subscribe. Please subscribe and hit the bell notification to be notified of upcoming videos, and please share it and reach as many people as possible while we can. Take care, God bless.